Hello and welcome to the A's from the A to Z of alcohol and sobriety. Everything you need to know. Written by and read by me, Corinna Alderton. AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. It's one sobriety way, but it's not the only way, so don't worry if it's not for you. I did consider it, as I love the thought of face-to-face meetings, but I quit drinking during lockdown and Zoom really isn't my thing. In this book, you will find alternative sources of support to help you through your journey. AA covers the 12 Steps program in a set order. Many of us find that we naturally progress through these without ever having picked up the big book. Some women feel AA is very male dominant, as it was founded by men and remained male based for many years. But I know of several women who have found it extremely helpful. Others are deterred by the spiritual aspects of AA, and I was too. But then I looked deeper into the meaning of our higher power. If you want the traditional AA route, you can find meetings in your local area by looking online, Citizens Advice, or at your local library. Abuse. When we are drinking, we are abusing ourselves. We are putting our body under physical and emotional assault. But we don't see that until later in our sobriety journey. Often there is a history of having been abused by others, which for some of us may still be happening. Abuse is emotional as well as physical and sexual. Emotional abuse is very controlling, but can be harder to recognise. Just because we are not being hurt physically, it does not mean that we are not being abused. Both men and women can be abused. Many abuse centres support people who choose to remain in their abusive relationship, some of whom are too afraid to leave. Abuse centres also help people to flee an abusive home and get to a place of safety. If you are ever in immediate danger, then contact the police on your country's emergency number, such as 999 or 911. And if you need help from an abuse centre, look up support in your area or contact your National Support Network, which you can find online by searching for National Domestic Abuse Hotline. Acceptance is a small word with a huge impact and makes for a happier and easier life. Resistance makes us sad, angry, frustrated and depressed. It keeps us stuck. Accept what is. Accept what's done. Accept your areas of control. Accept that we only ever have this moment. I assure you it will be easier by the time you get to the end of this book. For example, you have quit drinking. Others around you continue to drink. You resent this. You think they should quit to support you. It's triggering your addict voice. If you can't beat them, then join them. You are battling with yourself, and then you can go into battle with them. If you accept your sobriety as your choice and the fact that others have the right to their own choices, it will be easier. Let others be. Accept this is not their journey, it's yours. Accidents. I remember getting drunk as a teen and falling over, tearing my brand new satin leggings. I grazed my knee too, but in true Essex girl style, I was more upset about my trousers. I have a huge lump on my thumb where I took a chunk out of it on a broken tile. I was drunk and cleaning my home. Not a good mix. I've damaged ligaments in my knee from when my drunk husband fell on me and I twisted it. And I've had a drunk person fall on me and take me to the ground with them when they fell. I've also pooped myself and my poor teenage son had to sort me out. And as my sober body shiki reminded me, many injuries occur when we try to save our drinks rather than ourselves. Does any of this sound cringingly familiar? Sober life is so much less painful. Acetaldehyde is an air pollutant which comes mostly from building materials and cigarette smoke. It can cause diseases such as Alzheimer's and cancer. It is also found in food, especially those that are processed and high in sugars. Why am I talking about this? because alcohol converts to acetaldehyde in the body, and the build-up of this causes us to feel sick and dizzy and makes our heart beat faster. Longer term, this can cause liver scarring, cirrhosis, stomach and throat cancer. Alcohol really is liquid poison. Acknowledge your mistakes and any arguments that you may have caused. Apologies need to be real, and we do not need to take the blame for everything. It takes two to cause a situation and two to heal it. There will be apologies that we do not feel we can make and old wounds that should not be reopened. This is okay. Everyone's story is different. There are people who will never see us, hear us, or accept our side. I have learnt to apologise to some silently from afar, accepting that we all have our own hurt child inside of us, and forgiving the person for the mistakes that I tell myself that they have made. This has helped me to avoid further rejection, hurt, and pain. Acne. If you already have this, then drinking is going to make it a whole lot worse. The sugars in alcohol directly affect acne, and alcohol itself stimulates the skin regulating gland, which can cause more problems. Alcohol also impacts on our liver and immune system, making it harder for the body to get rid of bacteria and impurities. Interestingly, the article I read on this had advice on reducing the effects of alcohol on acne, but it didn't simply say, stop drinking. ACT. Acceptance and commitment therapy. I had this psychological treatment for pain management, and it's been really helpful in my sobriety too. It can help us look at what our true values are in life and what we can do to help us focus on these. For me, alcohol was never a value. Family, friends and work were, but much of that was blocked by my drinking. Sometimes I even resented them because my values got in the way of the drinking. No wonder I was so bloody miserable. ACT also looks at acceptance and mindfulness to help us achieve our values, and these continue to be invaluable to my recovery. ACT. Awareness, clarity, turnaround. A phrase and technique coined by Annie Grace in her book, This Naked Mind. Become aware of the situation, your thoughts and feelings. Investigate and clarify them. What is the actual issue? Challenge them. Look at your areas of control. Accept what you can and cannot do and turn it around. I'll leave it to another sober buddy to explain how he uses this. I'd be driving home from my night shift and be fine until a couple of miles from home, when I would be hit by what I call the zombie. I would automatically drive to the liquor store, go in and buy booze. It felt like I was on the outside looking in, and I couldn't stop it. I'd read a blog about ACT online, and this one day I'm driving home and I'd even purposely taken a different route. I'm nearing home and I feel the anxiety starting to build, as it has done 1,000 times before. I'm thinking, oh shit, here it comes. I've always known what I'm going to be feeling, but I've never had a way to get through it. So I started to become aware. It's starting to hit me and flood me, and I clarify. My anxiety is going through the roof, and I'm starting to have flashes of walking into the store and buying the beer, taking a drink, and it calming me down and relieving the anxiety. My brain is sending me flashes and playing the movie forwards, how great it's going to feel. I'm clarifying that this is what my brain is doing to me. I'm feeling anxious. I'm seeing movies of the beer, going in the store, and my brain is telling me to just have one, and it will take all the anxiety away. My heart's racing and I'm really uncomfortable, but then I start to turn it around. If I have that one drink, I'm not going to just have one or two. It's going to be a blackout. And then I start playing my movie forwards in my brain. I'm seeing my wife crying. I see drunk texting people. I'm watching a movie of what I've done 1,000 times before. Then I get to the point where I wake up the next morning in panic mode, grabbing my phone to see who I drunk text, having to get up and go to work feeling like shit, promising myself that I would never do this again. By the time I'd got done playing all that movie in my head, I was pulling into my driveway. I'd driven past the liquor store. I was so excited that I turned everything around and beaten the monster in my head that I even forgot the usual pressure and anxiety to go back to the store and get booze. I knew, as I pulled on my driveway, that I was going to make it through the day and not drink. I knew that I had found a tool that worked for me, and I got so excited. That day changed everything for me, because that day I realised I could change my thinking. From that day, ACT became my go-to. I feel a craving and I go into ACT mode, and it has kept on getting me home. And that was my dear friend Drifter. Active. We may need to rest during the first few days of quitting, but once the physical withdrawals have gone, it's important to stay active. Being active is good for our physical and mental health, and is also a great distraction from temptation and our addiction. If you are struggling, you might find it helpful to write an activity schedule each day to help you get motivated. Write the times that you're going to eat, dress, and do activities such as go out, read, do housework, and relax. Here's a little example. 8 o'clock, get up and have a cup of tea and engage with my sober community. 8:30, take Fluffy for a walk. 9 o'clock, have breakfast and fill up a water bottle to drink. 10 o'clock, shower and dress. 10:30, meditate. 11 o'clock, do something I've been putting off. 12 o'clock, research a new hobby or do a hobby. 1 o'clock, have lunch and refill water bottle. 2 o'clock, have an afternoon nap. 3:30, listen to a sober podcast, audiobook, or read quick lit. 5 o'clock, cook and eat dinner. 6:30, take Fluffy for a walk. 9 o'clock, have a hot drink, no caffeine, and watch TV, read, or do a hobby. 8 o'clock, connect with my community and talk with friends. 9 o'clock, get ready for bed and have a wind down, read, or meditate. 10 o'clock, in bed, lights out, and sleep. Just have a little think about how your day might look. Addiction. My favourite definition is the one offered by Dr. Gabor Mate on YouTube. I cannot remember the actual film clip, and it goes something like this. Addiction is anything that gives you temporary relief or happiness, but has a long-term negative effect. I'll read that again. Addiction is anything that gives you temporary relief or happiness, but has a long-term negative effect. Addict voice. It's there, trying to convince us that it's okay to drink. It is our ego, and it wants us to fit in and not miss out on anything. Some people give their voice a name. Winnie the Wine Witch, Dementor, Gin Genie, Booze Baron, Stacy, Pennywise. Just know it, recognise it, and have a plan for when it comes calling, because it will. You've done so well. Have one to celebrate. Go on, have one. One won't hurt you. You've not had a drink for a week or two. You can do this. Just drink every now and again. I love this from another of my sober friends who calls her addict voice Little Bastard. In the beginning, I envisaged this little spoilt demon gremlin child throwing addiction tantrums. I could see Little Bastard stomping its foot and throwing itself on the ground, pounding out its fury. On bad days, I would pick that little shit up and spank the hell out of it and send it to the corner. Sounds abusive? Absolutely. I hated that thing, and I was so tired of it trying to convince me that I was better off dead. And that was another great friend, Trail Gypsy. Adrenaline is a stress hormone that keeps us safe. When we are faced with danger, it directs our blood supply to our heart, making it beat faster and stronger, and to our lungs so we can adapt our breathing, and our muscles to give us strength to fight or get the heck out of there. In so doing, it takes the blood supply away from our non-essential areas such as our stomach, causing butterflies, diarrhea, nausea and vomiting, and our skin, causing paleness and sweating. It helped our ancestors to hunt and avoid being eaten by their prey. It stops us from walking out in front of traffic. When we see danger, our fire alarm goes off in our brain, our amygdala. Ding-a-ling-a-ling, danger, danger, danger. Our sprinklers go off and adrenaline surges into our body, creating the fight or flight response and anxiety. Advertising. Plant seeds and myths in order to take our money. It does not tell us the truth. I was hooked in by the advertising and I fell for it all. I believed that I needed alcohol to celebrate sporting events, holidays, and all celebrations. And the frightening thing is, I didn't know the truth about alcohol until I got sober and started researching. Advertising wasn't the only reason I drank, but it was a very big part of it, and alcohol was always at the top of my shopping list. Now I absolutely love going into the shop and blowing a raspberry or giving a rude hand signal to the advertisers as I pass the alcohol aisle. It puts the biggest smile on my face and leaves me feeling in control again. Affirmations are positive sayings to help us rewire our thinking. Whatever we tell ourselves, our mind and body believe. I used to refer to these as mantras, but have now discovered these are actually two very different things. Find some positive affirmations that resonate and work for you, and use them when you need them. There are lots out there, but here are just a few from some of my sober buddies. Play the tape forwards. I make amends to my loved ones every day just by being sober. Alcohol never made a good time better. Don't stop working on sobriety, because alcohol will never stop working on you. I will take my worst day sober over my best day drunk. My craving means I'm further away from where I don't want to be. I never woke up regretting not drinking the night before. There are a few more in there, but you can get them if you want to read more. You can see them in my book. Alcohol. The alcohol we drink is ethanol and contains formaldehyde, arsenic, and multiple cancer-causing chemicals. It is reported to kill over 3 million people a year worldwide. This means that in the first year of COVID, 300,000 more people died from alcohol-related disease than from the virus. Alcohol increases the dopamine levels in our brain. It makes us feel good. It gives us confidence. It makes us have fun, until it doesn't. It is highly addictive and toxic. Gradually we need more and more to get that buzz, and then the effects would just die. And so might we. We become like zombies, the living dead. The only way to stop this from happening is to stop drinking, but plan and prepare and work it. Alcohol abuse. Alcohol is part of our culture. The majority of us will have a drink during our lives. When does it become a problem? I think this is personal, but I like to use Dr. Matte's take on addiction as a guide. Most professionals would probably say alcohol abuse is regular and excessive use of alcohol. Are you drinking a bottle of wine every night, or binge drinking every weekend? Have you ever rung in sick because you overdid it the night before? Ever driven when you were over the legal limit? Ever hurt yourself or got into fights when you've been drinking? Ever cancelled plans because you were too drunk or hungover? Time to face it. These are all signs of alcohol abuse. Owning this is our first step. Take the FAST test to discover more, and you can find that online. Just Google other search engines available. FAST, F-A-S-T. Altered, unhelpful thinking. There's a lot of this when we quit drinking. When we've blocked it all out for so long, it all wants to come out to play. Some of it even encourages us to drink again. Here are some examples of altered thinking. Having a gloomy view of the future. How can I never drink again? Meeting friends is going to be awful. What am I going to do with all that time that I'm not drinking? Life is going to be dreadful without alcohol. I'm not going to be able to have any fun. Negative views about how others see us. Everyone will think I have a problem with alcohol. They're going to call me alcoholic. They'll think I'm weak because I can't handle my drink. You're not. Alcohol is highly addictive. Nobody will like the sober me. Bearing all responsibility. It's all my fault. I'm making this event boring because I'm not drinking. That fight argument I had 10 years ago, yeah, you really are going to go there at times, is all my fault. It's not. Making extreme statements. I always upset everyone. I never make people happy. I should drink, and then I'll feel better, and everything will be fine. It won't. I'm sure we can all relate to this. But what to do with all these thoughts? You'll hear more under the C's under CBT. Ambivalence. It is normal to have lots of mixed feelings about giving up alcohol, and even more once the numbing has stopped. We have our own conflicting views, and there will be more from other people. Be prepared and stay on track. The saying in AA is one day at a time, but one moment at a time is even better. Amnesia is memory loss, which can be related to age, stress, mental health issues, including anxiety and depression, dementia, and of course alcohol. What did you do last night? Amygdala, the most primitive part of our brain, formed by two groups of cells on each side of our brain, is part of our limbic system and responsible for our emotions, decision making and memory. It is our own personal fire alarm in response to fear, anxiety and pain. Anesthetic. Alcohol has the same effect on our body and nervous system as anesthetic, and was used for surgery many years ago, but I suspect it caused a lot of vomiting and choking. That's why alcohol numbs and enables us to deal with physical and emotional pain. It reduces our inhibitions, loosens our tongue, and makes us feel so good in the early days, because we are not actually there. Our feelings are locked up and our senses are numbed. It's easy to deal with stuff when we have anaesthetic inside us, even surgery. And here's the thing, anaesthetic doesn't actually make us unconscious. It just stops the brain from feeling pain and remembering what has happened. Just like the date rape drug, ketamine, alcohol is the life rape drug. If we let it, it will numb us to the point of no return, whereby we can see no way out and wish that we were dead. Unfortunately, many of us continue to drink ourselves to death or take our own life. Towards the end of my drinking, I saw it as a slow suicide. I really didn't care if I lived or died. Luckily, I found my way out, and now I'm so alive that my heart could burst with joy. I want this for each and every one of you. Anger is the punishment we give ourselves for someone else's mistake, Gautama Buddha. But we also punish ourselves for our own mistakes. Anger is a normal human response. There is nothing wrong with anger. It's what we do with it that counts. The fights, the arguments, breaking things, self-harm. These are our behaviours and separate from the emotion. If we can learn to accept anger, then we can deal with it differently. Anger often has an underlying emotion. It's easier to feel angry than it is to feel hurt, anxious, rejected, unloved, sad, etc. Getting sober is like being a detective and an archaeologist all in one. Let's get digging. Anger management is learning new ways to express and let go of this strong emotion. One way of doing this is to write a letter to a person, organisation or thing that is making you feel angry. Get really angry. Pour it all out. Read it, cut the letter into pieces and burn it. Then either let it go on the wind or bury it. No one can actually make us feel angry. It is we who allow ourselves to feel this way. When we see red, our old brain kicks in, adrenaline surges, and we go into fight mode. Take a deep breath and count to 10 really is great advice. By doing this, we allow our new brain time to come into play and deal with things in a more controlled way. And if you can't, go kick a beanbag, beat up a cushion, go for a run, or better still, get a punch bag. Exercise and sport are great ways of channeling our anger into something more positive. Annie Grace worked in marketing when her drinking career began. Once she recognised this, she found her way to tackle the booze and share this with many others worldwide with her book, This Naked Mind: Control Alcohol, Find Freedom, Discover Happiness and Change Your Life. She also runs a free online course, The Alcohol Experiment, 30 Days Without Alcohol. You don't have to stop drinking before starting the 30 days. Just start from wherever you are right now, even if you are drinking. What a great place to start. Straight away it takes the pressure off and eases the fear caused by the thought of never drinking again. Antidepressants increase the available amount of serotonin in between our nerve endings, our neurons, which is thought to improve our mood and appetite and sleep. Alcohol decreases our serotonin, and this is why it is known as a depressant. Welcome to Seesaw Land. When we stop drinking, we may not need our current strength of antidepressants. If you're not on them but feeling depressed, then just by stopping alcohol may prevent the need for them. Don't stop or reduce either of these without medical advice, and discuss any signs of mood change with your doctor. Anxiety, the big A, absolutely debilitating. How many of us drink to calm our anxiety and our nerves? We've had a shock, have a brandy. We've had a hard day, crack open a bottle. I honestly forgot what the sound of the kettle was like. As soon as I put a foot through my front door, I popped a cork or twisted a lid. I can still hear the sound, see the pour, and feel the relief of that first sip, and relax. The truth is, it wasn't calming the anxiety, it was stopping the alcohol withdrawal. And then it would cause the chemical imbalances in my body and brain and bring on the adrenaline surges. I was once a great lover of brandy and cola. I drank it in copious amounts, but I had to stop because the caffeine in the cola was causing far too much anxiety and heart palpitations. I then moved on to brandy with fresh orange juice, but guess what? So I stopped drinking my favourite tipple and moved on to wine and stuck with it for way too many years. Anxiety is normal. It is a warning, and along with adrenaline and cortisol, helps us to keep safe. But our messages can get mixed up, and we sense danger when there actually isn't any. It is a perceived danger, usually a thought. The fire alarm gets sensitive and goes off, leading to anxiety loops such as this. The thought, I can't handle this, I need a drink. Physical response, shakes, palpitations, sweats. Behaviour, have a drink. The thought, that's better. Physical response, everything calms down. Behaviour, carry on drinking. Anxiety management. There are 3 parts to this: thoughts, physical symptoms, and behaviours. Breathing is the most important thing. Sounds simple, but we often hold our breath or breathe too quickly, and this brings on physical changes. Practice breathing exercises, which we'll do more under B, and this will help. But here's what to do in an emergency. Make a forced breath out. You will then automatically breathe in. Control it and slow it. When we are breathing in and out too quickly or hyperventilating, the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in our blood become imbalanced and lead to tingling and lightheadedness. To correct the balance, simply cup your hands over your nose and mouth, just like this. And slowly breathe in and out. Nothing deep, just normal breaths. To prevent hyperventilation, know your physical warning signs. Mine is a thump in my chest or a weird spidery feeling over the back of my head. As soon as you get this, just breathe. Slow, regular breaths. Often the physical symptoms are the first sign of anxiety surges or panic attacks. If we can control this, It will help us think and behave more rationally and deal with the cause. Here's an example of what happens if we don't do this. The physical change could be a thumping in our chest or whatever your sign is. The thoughts, I'm having a heart attack. Our behaviour is to start hyperventilating. The physical change could be pins and needles and feeling lightheaded. Our thoughts, I'm going to die. Behaviour, calling an ambulance. Next time it happens, it feels even worse as we remember how terrifying it was last time. Here's what happens if we focus on our breathing. Physical warning sign, whatever that one is for you. Thoughts, I need to breathe. Behaviour, slow, steady breaths. Physical, our heart and breathing were gradually slow. Thoughts, it's just anxiety, nothing bad is going to happen. Behaviour, continue to control the breathing. Physical, everything returns to normal. Thoughts, I managed that well. I know what to do in future. The absolute worst thing that will happen with an anxiety or panic attack is we might faint from not breathing correctly. This will make our breathing return to normal. Apologise to yourself and others, but only where it is appropriate. Avoid over-apologising, especially for things that are not your responsibility. An apology goes a long way to paving the way for a happier future, but only if it's not going to cause ourselves or others more hurt. Appetite. 90% of serotonin is in our guts. We are drinking it away and decreasing our appetite. Along with the vomiting and hangovers from drinking, who wants to eat? When we quit, we crave sugars, and if we're not careful, we'll replace one addiction with another. I put on 7 kilograms from my quit craving and eating things I don't usually eat. It's easy to say, well, at least I'm sober, but be aware of cross addiction. Appreciation is enjoying the good we see in others and the things around us. At first, I thought we are not programmed to appreciate things. Instead, we see all the negatives and take things for granted. We even have sayings such as, it's the calm before the storm. When do we ever stop and appreciate the quelling? But then I started thinking about the innocence and fun of childhood, when we were fascinated and appreciated everything around us. The fun of wet and messy play, the awe of noticing all the little grains of sand, the fascination with a blade of grass, and the sheer joy when we found a ladybird or ladybug, caterpillar or worm. If you really want to learn about appreciation, then just go and watch the kids at work. I now think we start off appreciating things, but experience, time and reprimands get in the way. Hurry up, stop dawdling, stop crying, we've got things to do, we're going to be late, etc., etc. We start to notice all the bad things and forget to look for the good, even though it didn't actually go anywhere. Even on the darkest, dullest day, the sun is actually still there. It's just hiding behind the scenes. We interpret things and take them at face value, forgetting what's underneath and to appreciate what is actually there. And now here we all are, practicing and trying to learn the latest thing of mindfulness and to appreciate things again. And it would seem the hardest thing to appreciate is ourselves. I'd like to invite you to just sit for a minute and feel appreciation for yourself, for being here, for showing up, for everything you've done, everything you are doing, and everything you are yet to do. I will sit with them for a minute with you. Give yourself a round of applause or a pat on the back. Well done. Arsenic is actually naturally occurring in rocks and finds its way into our food from the water and soil. It is also man-made and found in pesticides. The amount of arsenic in alcohol depends on how and where the fruits, hops, cereals or vegetables are grown. An independent study of Californian wines finds that some had 4 to 5 times more arsenic in than the acceptable level for drinking water set by the Environmental Protection Agency. Manufacturers, and especially wine lovers and sellers it would seem, try to convince us that the amount is so low that it is inconsequential and that other food sources contain more arsenic than wine. It's true, it is found in food, especially rice apparently. But do we eat that food source every single day to the extremes that we drink alcohol? And here's the clincher. Alcohol actually stops us being able to process and break down and get rid of arsenic properly. The short-term effects of arsenic are headache, nausea, vomiting, digestion and stomach problems, bad breath, red skin, muscle cramps and tingling in our fingers and toes. Does that sound familiar? Repeated exposure to this poison leads to a higher risk of cancer, tumours, diabetes and heart disease. The good news is it will be out of our body within 48 hours of having it. Unless we're drinking alcohol, of course, it slows it all down. Aspartame is an artificial sweetener, also marketed as NutraSweet. It's not technically related to alcohol and sobriety, but the sugar cravings are. Many of us switch to diet and sugar-free drinks and soda, and with the sugar tax, aspartame is finding its way into more and more of our foods and drinks. In fact, most of the pubs, cafes and restaurants in the UK now only stock and serve sugar-free drinks. Many years ago, I read an article in a multiple sclerosis magazine about aspartame, and I was horrified by the reports of it causing multiple sclerosis type symptoms and systematic lupus. When aspartame reaches body temperature, it turns into formaldehyde. I immediately stopped this for myself and my 2-year-old son and noticed his overactive high symptoms ceased. If he accidentally ingested it, he would say that he felt drunk like mum, and I could see the drunken presentation. The biggest problem was that he loved that feeling. Companies have now changed the name in many products, listing it to disguise this. But if anything says contains a source of phenylalanine, then avoid it like the plague, as it has aspartame in it. This has also been linked with cancer and ADHD. Assertion. I don't know about you, but over the years I have learnt to be passive aggressive, and I don't like it. I let people walk all over me and then erupt like a volcano, and for years I drank to subdue it all, until I didn't. A drunk volcano is far worse than a sober one. When we are quitting drinking, we start to see all our habits and patterns and realise that we can change and learn to be assertive in a calm and effective way. Not everyone is going to like it, as they will no longer be getting their own way all the time. They have tolerated the volcano moments because the doormat ones were far more useful to them. Be prepared for resistance and be aware of saboteurs. Authenticity, translated from Latin, means author of your own life. Now we get to write our own story, scary and exciting, all at the same time. I've spent far too many years letting others write my story for me. I'm not saying that my story is a fairy tale, but I'm moving on from the nightmare that my life had become. When we're authentic, we can be in control of our happy ever after. Personally, I'm still a work in progress, but I'm now aware and I know that I have choices. Autopsy. Liver disease, heart disease, cancer, tumours, pulmonary aspiration, which is vomit in our lungs, and kidney disease are just some of the effects of alcohol causing death. You can go online and see the difference in organs found at autopsy from alcohol. DIY aversion therapy. Vitamin A. Growing up, I was told Eat your carrots, they will help you see in the dark. And this is true. Vitamin A helps with eyesight and skin and helps fight against infection and illness. As well as in carrots, you'll find it in green and yellow vegetables, red fruit, dairy, eggs, and oily fish. Why do you need to know this? Because alcohol stops absorption and depletes us of vitamins and nutrients. And you will find much more under the current headings about vitamins and nutrients. AWOL. Ever been absent without leave? Know someone who has, and the worry that this causes? Alcohol makes us do things we wouldn't usually do when we're thinking straight. It makes us vulnerable and puts us at risk. That aside, alcohol just makes us plain absent in every sense of the word. We are never fully present when we are drinking, not at the time of drinking, nor for the next 48 hours after. Yep, that's how long it takes to get out of our system. Not the 1 hour per unit rubbish we are led to believe. This is actually how long it takes to be processed by the liver. Sobriety welcomes you to the Wide Awake Club, and I'll be back tomorrow to read B. Ta-ta for now.